Go ahead and start the show, man.
And we are live. Hello. Today is according to my time, but we might be broadcasting out to the cosmos. Today is June 29th. It is 8:31 p.m. Eastern Time. If
Nice.
you are seeing this out in the cosmos, away from the Earth, chime in and tell us. In the comments below, we'll be waiting.
The cosmos. Nice, Pete.
Those aliens are rocking 10G, Pete.
Hey, if you think about it, human civilization's only 14,000 years old.
Right.
What's the likelihood of another civilization out there being over 1 million or over 1 billion years old?
Slim.
I mean, well, the Big Bang happened 14.2 billion years ago, so
yeah, but
it's greater than zero.
But I'm saying slim because there's a higher probability that if there was such a civilization, that their sun would have blown up on them, or they would have destroyed themselves through war.
But what I'm getting at is it's greater than zero.
Well, sci-fi talk aside, guys, we have an awesome show tonight with some very well picked out topics. One of them I'm super excited to talk about, which has to do with the T-Mobile Sprint Network Shutdown and what T-Mobile is doing about it to try to encourage customers to switch over. And then I know Sneed has a few other topics lined up. Maybe he wants to explain those really quick.
Yeah, I think the first thing we got to do is discuss the T-Mobile and Sprint thing. Pete, you're going to go in a little bit. I'm going to give you that opportunity to do so. The same exact things that like we were texting back and forth. Describe that. You know, I got to offer a little bit of, I guess, commentary on it because the comment section of my video about like customers not being notified about like, the shutdown of, Sprint channels and, tower sites and all this other stuff. Like the comments are, there's two camps. One camp is saying T-Mobile did more than enough. The other camp is saying they did Sprint customers dirty. And it's really crazy that there's two very different takes on this, but I'm going to give you guys the objective view here because I've seen the whole thing play out from both sides.
My neighbor is still on a Sprint SIM. I sent him a message saying starting the 30th, if he converts every line on his account to a T-Mobile SIM rather than the Sprint SIM, he'd be getting a bill credit worth $10 per line converted. His reply was, yeah, I got a letter about that yesterday. Thanks for the heads up.
Big shout out to everybody that's here. I want to give a shout out to Kimon. We got Baja Blast, Cipriani Tech's in the house. Tech Guy is here. We got TJ. The homie Tim is here, as well as Rich. Thank you guys for coming through. And, of course, hashtag Mod Squad for all the blue wrenches. Keeping things kosher in the live chat. Big shout out to Baby Yoda. Thanks for holding it down. And, hey, Dan, welcome to the show. And, yeah, thanks for commenting. Appreciate it very much. They've done a great job in Ohio. I definitely got to call a spade a spade. They've upgraded a lot of sites over the last couple of years, and it's made a huge difference for capacity.
By the way, I'm also willing to crack down on anything in the chat if I have to.
Yeah, don't make Pete flex, bro. He'll rip up his favorite shirt, so don't do it.
I just got it nice and comfortable from wearing it in. By the way, we have Cesar Gonzalez chiming in with a $5 super chat already. It's a pair going, how's it going?
Big shout out to William, as well as big time supporter of the channel, very involved in the community and the Patreon. Ohio Rail fan 1517 Miller. Go ahead and subscribe to his channel as well. He's got some good videos up there. Let's see here. Vlad is here. Baja Blast made a hashtag. It's going to be hashtag goodbye Sprint. Cowboy is in the house as well. Welcome to the show. And Caesar, thank you for that super chat. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for all that you do. Very kind of you and very generous of you. Thanks again. EM Tech is in the house. Appreciate you for stopping by. Gellert's in the house. Welcome, my friend. And we have Bor Granta 61103. How does Amazon Luna run on T-Mobile 5G UC? Pete, any insight on that?
What the hell is Amazon Luna?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Is that some kind of product or service?
That's my insight. What the hell is that service?
Yeah.
Amazon Luda is their cloud gaming platform. It's similar to Google's whatever they're calling Stadia.
Oh, okay. The gaming.
Yeah.
I would say depending on how good the latency is on those tower sites in your area, I'd say it could run pretty good.
I may have to try it.
I'm gonna disagree. The thing that those services care most about is latency, and T-Mobile's network fails to have a consistent latency experience.
Some of my tower sites that have the 5G you see out here have pings as low as 17.
But that's not the real latency when getting to those servers because of how the peering and the routing goes. And again, it's more about the consistency of the ping as well with little variability. And I don't find that any wireless network, to be clear here, is able to really nail that down super solid like at the moment. And I don't think that's going to change until we get true 5G standalone cores.
Hey, Steven, welcome to the show. Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate the insight. Baja Blast asking if I'll join Magic Tech Review. I mean, hey, man, you know me. I do collabs with anybody. I have a really hard time saying no to people. So if anybody wants to ask me to be on their show, I gladly accept and graciously would be on there. What's up, David, my dude? All right, man. Let's do the, well, actually, we do the whole copy and paste thing. I'm going to put the link for the first thing we're going to cover. I did not see this coming. I think it's a smart move, actually. Guys, link is in the live chat. It's also in the show notes for those watching this on replay. So you guys can check that out. Share screen. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Nope, I don't want to do that. Then it would do that crazy, like, Doctor Strange multi-million box thingy. All right, here it is. It's up on the screen now. The T-Mobile report dropped this yesterday. We covered it in the video. And essentially what T-Mobile is doing in order to expedite current Sprint SIM users, so people that have been unresponsive or have not switched their SIM cards since T-Mobile acquired Sprint, still got their Sprint SIM cards in their phones, in order to get you out of that SIM and to get into a true T-Mobile TNX SIM, they're going to give you $10 per line to get the SIMs in there. And I know it kind of seems weird. You're probably like, why would they waste money? Like, these customers have to do it. In my estimation, I wouldn't have been that nice. I would have just cut them off if they were unresponsive. I would literally have their phone shut off, right? Just disactive on the date where the Sprint network was shut down, and then have forced them to come into the carrier store, and I would have charged them $10 reactivation to teach them a lesson on how to be responsive.
This is where we're different. I would have just sent them a new SIM certified.
Throw them away. They told me that in the comment section. They throw them away. They refuse to put them in the phone.
Send it certified mail, and when they sign it, their Sprint SIM gets deactivated.
But that's the thing, bro. There are people that literally have thousands of. There was like a Reddit post. I remember a guy had like literally like 1,000 T-Mobile SIMs because like he literally just kept sitting on them and not activating any of them. So he was literally sitting on like 1,000 T-Mobile SIMs. But long story short, I'm just gonna call it like it is.
Hold up, Dennis. You mean that's the asshole who gave us a SIM card shortage?
Yes, but
what an asshole.
But long story short, guys, if you have Sprint SIMs, either switch to T-Mobile or find another carrier. There's no point in delaying the inevitable.
Your CDMA is no longer going to lower your sperm count that has been taken out back old Yeller style. Find a better mode of contraception.
$10 to switch to the right SIM card.
$10 to switch to an actual network. I think that's one.
Yeah, I mean, T-Mobile, look, as much problems as T-Mobile's network has, it's still infinitely better than the Sprint network that has been killed.
So the post-merger T-Mobile experience On a scale from 1 to 10, pre-merger Sprint, you're about a 0. Post-merger T-Mobile Sprint, the network's at about a, I don't know, 8.5, 9.
I wouldn't go that high, but sure.
Well, you're in Pittsburgh in a null zone, so
The entire city of Pittsburgh is a null zone, Pete.
yeah. It's that Comcast with their cable lines providing the backhaul. That should that just you know what patina is?
Really? Because
It's when
Verizon's
your
serving.
copper oxidizes.
Really? Because Verizon's serving cell for me at the moment has a 1 gig backhaul that's being upgraded to 5 gig from Fiber One, which is awesome.
So what you're getting at is T-Mobile needs to stop spending money with Suckcast and go with a real fiber provider.
Well, Suckcast, as he put it, is what I'm trying to tell you, has been providing fiber to all of Verizon's site, and they performed fine.
By the way, Fred, that roaming I think was calling only. I don't know if it was data included.
Calling only.
Yeah, so it was helping people with calls for sure, but wasn't really helping them with a data experience. Let's go ahead and follow up.
I don't like that pejorative Baja Blast.
What pejorative did he use?
I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take this next level. I found this article. This is from some NBC affiliate in West Virginia. WVVA. Makes sense, right? West Virginia. All right.
Yeah.
T-Mobile customers in Beckley are concerned over ongoing connectivity issues. Let's see what this is about here. This is dated June 28th, so this was from yesterday.
T-Mobile had coverage in Beckley?
I think this is a Chantel situation, Pete.
Oh.
Maybe. Let's see. After T-Mobile's merger with Sprint in 2020, the company has worked to incorporate many of its Sprint customers into the T-Mobile network. As part of the process, customers were given new SIM cards to connect to the new system. But since making that switch, many customers in Beckley are reporting problems after considerable drop in service. T-Mobile customers struggles to get service in the region's biggest city, Beckley. She says making calls and sending texts are a challenge. She said it's ridiculous to pay that much money for a service you're not getting. Jimmy Dozier said the problems are interfering with his ability to work and stay in touch with his family. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. He said prior to the SIM card installation, we had no problems whatsoever, unless I was in some far off place. That's understandable. But when you're in town, you should be able to get service. He went on to say, we initially went to Sprint because we travel a lot. I've gone to Princeton since I've had this phone, and it doesn't work. It works in spots. The customers, along with Autumn Collins, said they're often unable to make calls, send texts, or access data until they secure a Wi-Fi connection. Unfortunately, I don't think there's much they do. They need the infrastructure set up and the high towers fixed, according to Collins. That's it.
Well, the first verse, same as the first. Second verse, same as the first.
Second verse, same as the first.
If it doesn't work, switch to a company that offers service in your area that works well. Like Pete lives in a great area for T-Mobile. Pittsburgh is not. I'm just a masochist apparently because I have T-Mobile as my primary, but reality says that I should be using AT&T or Verizon.
Well, I'm gonna counter what you just said there. You live in a market where AT&T seems to be the best. You come here, there are still 3 or 4 spots around my town where you're in a dead zone on AT&T. So it's all about location, like real estate.
Well, I think the situation here is that T-Mobile hasn't integrated, done the Sprint Keep thing yet. I mean, these are things that these average everyday consumers don't know. Like if you would ask them, do you know what a Sprint Keep site is? Are you aware what the channel upgrades are going to be? They probably don't know those things and they're unaware. And I don't know if T-Mobile's been able to keep up with that work pace in this particular region. You know what I'm saying, Pete? So it calls to that.
I've also noticed in some locations where if I turn off data roaming on my T-Mobile line, I get poor or no service. especially in buildings. But when I turn on data roaming and there was a Sprint keep site nearby, I get some band 26.
3 megahertz.
So, yeah. Hey, it's enough to load. It's enough to load email, some news, and make a phone call.
Yeah.
You're
yeah.
being very generous with that 3 megahertz and what it can do, Pete.
Hey, unlike you, I spent 5 years with 56K dial-up that maxed out at 20 kilobits a second.
Pete, what are you talking about?
I think we had
experienced
that pretty
dial-up.
recently as a kid, bro.
Yeah.
Dennis had messed up connectivity in PA, dude.
Bro,
Oh
I
yeah,
had
he's
dial-up.
in PA.
I had dial-up for like a whole like year and some change before I got DSL.
Wow, DSL came out like 6 years after I started using the internet.
I didn't get DSL until like the later part of like 2001.
I was on a cable modem come 2002 due to Cablevision of Warwick, New York. So, anyway,
But anywho, going back to what I said and to your to your credit, like yeah, T-Mobile is clearly messing up here. They should have made sure to, upgrade sites or, allow native roaming to occur when they make the TNX switch so that that thing doesn't happen. But I'm going to say what I said again. Like the person that's like, yeah, I'm relying on my phone for work. Well, if you're relying on your phone for work and the carrier that you're trying to use isn't working, then you switch carriers.
To kind of comment to Dan's comment, he said Verizon is terrible at Massillon, Canton, Ohio area. Glad I got T-Mobile. I've been to both those cities, and Verizon service is pretty good. I go to the Hall of Fame game all the time. Service is good.
so Dan might be getting at something I've been commenting about with AT&T and Boulder. Verizon may be excellent on the road most traveled and the high demand areas, but the moment you go to the side streets and the neighborhoods, there's a good chance it just falls off. Is that your experience, Dan? If you leave the downtown area, your service falls off on Verizon, or was it that way before you switched?
You guys ready for this this next story?
Yeah, and real quick though, Dan commented he was line of sight of the tower and Verizon, and the service kept dropping. Wonder what phone he was using. But yeah, go on to the story.
All right, this one.
Did you turn up your gain or something? You got loud.
Oh no! I haven't touched it since the start of the show. Did it just get loud now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me adjust. That's weird. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad, dude. I don't know. That's how it was at the start. Maybe I just got closer to the mic.
Maybe.
All right, dude. We're good now. Now let's do the share screen. It's a process, guys. There's a lot of clicky clicks I got to do. All right. So to kind of put I don't know, I guess a cap on it. Why does T-Mobile want to accelerate the decommission of all this Sprint? Why do they want to get all this spectrum off air? Why do they want to shut down these towers or get them renovated and all of that, and Sprint keeps and all that? It's right here. There are these little things that T-Mobile refers to as synergies. Essentially what it is these are the assets that T-Mobile acquired Sprint for. T-Mobile didn't care about Sprint employees. T-Mobile didn't care about stores. They didn't care about anything outside of the fact that they wanted to make a network that was going to compete or be better than Verizon's, compete or be better than AT&T's, find a way to continue to grow and do so more profitably. So in order to do that, they have to accelerate and shut down all things Sprint. That means the Sprint billing system. That means Sprint plans. That means, everything that's associated with the other company. So when we see the term synergies, that's what we're talking about here. The ability to operate a much larger company, a much more scaled company, so that their profitability increases, their ARPU increases, and they can serve more people. And I think that's the basic premise as to why people are a little upset. They're like, man, this feels really fast. Like, we knew we had 3 years, as customers of Sprint, to be protected on whatever happens out of this merger. But maybe that's what it is, Pete. Like, the pushback has been like, oh, I didn't have enough time to be notified. And we know that the notifications went out. People got text messages, people got mailers, people got emails, people were sent SIM cards. I mean, I cover every single one of these updates on my channel. Tyrone does on his. Carlos does on his. I mean, I've found site after site after site completely rip and replace with all this T-Mobile gear, right? I mean, what else? I mean, look, Android Police covers stuff. Where else do we find articles? The Verge, about Sprint CDMA shutdown and 3G, and like, we have covered every single thing. So if somebody is quote unquote unaware, it's just a horrible excuse. It doesn't work. It doesn't hold up. And then in the most recent video, the one I put out yesterday, former and current T-Mobile employees have stated, we notify people on so many different methodologies that if they don't come in or if they don't respond, it's just their incompetence or their lack of responsiveness. It's not because we didn't try. You know what I mean? So, yeah, T-Mobile's moving fast. Yes, it may feel like it's very rapid, but it's to their right. It's their business. And they haven't done you wrong. They've offered people deals on phones, free 5G phones. They're not charging people for SIM cards. There's no reason you shouldn't switch. The only thing that's left to do is your tower gets shut down or you get blocked out of access from that SIM. Is that a better outcome than you going into the store or just using the SIM that they sent you and activating it? So that's the term synergies. That's what they're doing. They're trying to be a more lean, profitable, and successful company, and that's how they have to do it. This is kind of in phases, right? They had TNX SIM go out like the first year. So like there were phase 1, phase 2. Here we are in phase 3 with network shutdowns and SIM cards becoming,
Can I come in with a spicy take real quick?
Sure.
If you are one of the people that is ignoring switching to TNX, you're the reason why things like DOCSIS 4.0, 5G, and everything else takes extra years of time to actually come to fruition. You are literally slowing down the upgrade path and prolonging the cost and expenses from it to actually happen. You're trying to latch on to this old, expensive, and outdated technology for no reason other than that I can think of, and ultimately just hurting yourself in doing so. Please, for the love of God, go get a TNX SIM. Go get a newer phone if you need one that supports the 5G network so you can have a good network experience, because you're paying the same price as I do for a worse experience right now. Please do it for yourself. Do it for the sake of better infrastructure and networking in the future in the US. Agree or disagree, Sneed?
I agree. I mean, they've been holding on because up until like very recently, there have been Sprint towers that don't have T-Mobile gear on them. You get what I'm saying? Like, T-Mobile has to go to every single one of those Sprint sites and turn them into T-Mobile sites.
Mm-hmm.
If they shut down a Sprint site and they don't have a very near T-Mobile site, they're going to hurt people's experiences. Those are the only people that it would make sense for them to hold out. So say, for example, Dennis, 2 miles from your house is a T-Mobile site, and then half a mile from your house is a Sprint site. They should operate both those sites. A good tower grid in a developed city is a site every mile and a half. A tower site every 2 miles could be a little touch and go because of capacity, right? You're going to have a lot of traffic on the low-band channels. So it's imperative that T-Mobile took the steps to upgrade the Sprint Keep and maintain a lot of those Sprint sites. I think for some people, that's what the holdout. That's the only thing I could think of. Outside of that, there's no reason for them to be hanging on to those SIMs.
In some cases, they're actually paying more than I am and getting a worse experience on the network. Which, if you think about it, is kind of funny. Them paying more for a worse experience just out of I just don't want to change anything.
Yeah, I mean, but Sneed, to your point about like if T-Mobile doesn't replace that Sprint site when they decom it, which I think is dumb. But if they don't do it, it goes back to the third verse, same as the first. You switch to a carrier that provides coverage in the places that matter to you and your locations that are most important.
But I don't know what the situation is. They might like their pricing or their plan, so they're just hanging on. I don't know, man.
I promise you that unless they're on like Sprint, like OG Kickstart plan pricing, there's going to be a plan out there that is cheaper and more affordable and probably giving them better benefits today.
And they literally created T-Mobile Essentials for the Sprint customer. That's literally who it's for, and you can't tell me otherwise.
I'm just saying that like there are like prepaid is a thing. You can literally get a $25 visible line, tax and fees included, if price is an issue. You can get like Cricket, US Mobile, Mint Mobile with their deflationary pricing. I mean, $15 a month for 3 months. So $45 total for 3 months of service. You can't tell me with a straight face that there's not going to be a more affordable option. Like pricing is not even an issue here.
All right. Next story. This from a Twitter account that I follow. The man, the myth, the legend, Walt. You guys know Walt Pychek. We used to hear his questions all the time on the earnings calls at T-Mobile, and they used to take his call. John Ledger, like, they had a hilarious relationship in terms of interactions. It was great.
He gave John a hard time. John answered with a joke.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. And then since then, with Mike Sievert, it's just not as funny or even good anymore. So here's a quote from the most recent article over at lightshedtmt.com. Walt and I believe some of his cohorts are contributors to the articles there. You guys can go to that website. They have a ton of great stuff. These, different articles that they write are very insightful. They're analysts. So they have a lot of well-calculated predictions and takes and analysis. It's definitely worth a look. The quote here is, and this is all as it pertains to Verizon Wireless. It is astonishing to us that the consensus for Verizon's postpaid phone net additions is still over 900,000 for 2022. We estimate it will struggle to generate half that estimate. Before we even give our estimations, here are my two takes. Take number one is this statement is, in my prediction, I agree. This statement is correct. Verizon is going to struggle to probably get 400,000 ads this year. I feel very good about that. Like if they get to 500,000, I will be pleasantly surprised. And the reason for that is, number one, they lost subscribers in Q1. Number two, they're probably going to add very few net ads in Q2. Right? We know about the traffic in the stores being low. They are doing things that they've never done before, sending people loyalty discounts, right? Giving people discounts to close out deals in the store, aggressively trying to being willing to barter and offer deals and discounts they normally wouldn't even entertain. They're trying to stop the bleeding, but they're 1 foot in, 1 foot out with it, so it's not really all that effective, and customers aren't really responding. T-Mobile is having a massive quarter, in my prediction. AT&T is also having a good quarter too. What they're doing is more sustainable between T-Mobile and AT&T. What Verizon is doing is spinning their wheels. They're stuck in the mud. Walt's right. The people over at lightshedtmt.com, they're right. They're not going to have 900,000. The consensus is wrong. I don't know who's in that consensus. They're wrong. Verizon is going to add like 400 or 500,000 customers this year, and it's only it's going to be because of like Q3 and Q4, some combination of the iPhone 14, some kind of good promo. That's it. Their pricing is expensive. They've raised costs a couple of times, and the customer is not responding well, and they're leaving, and they're probably losing a lot of customers to Cabletown. It's not like they're losing a lot to T-Mobile or AT&T necessarily. I think most of the customers are becoming wholesale customers that don't use a lot of data anyways. So it's
Yep.
not like they're going to make a lot of money off of Cabletown. So Verizon has a problem on their hands, and I think Hans needs to reassess and reevaluate. You guys think, and I'll start with the Bearded Dragon. How many ads is Verizon going to have by the end of this year?
I gotta remember if I can go into the opinions I've heard speaking with people, but I'll just say expect somewhere around 600,000.
That many, huh?
Yeah. And Verizon is thinking about this ads crunch themselves, which is part of the reason why they're adding new fees to the plans.
I think that I think Verizon is going to struggle to have net ads, primarily because I don't think they're doing any very enticing promos. Primarily, it's all price based, and as you kind of put it, Sneed, they're not really committed one way or the other. You know, like you said, they have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I actually think this will be a year where T-Mobile has a grand slam that's been unprecedented and unseen since like 2017, where I think they're going to have over 1 million net ad year. And I think AT&T is going to be limping somewhat along as well. Maybe 500,000 net ads for the year as well.
What?
Well,
AT&T's so you have AT&T losing customers Q2, Q3, and Q4?
I have AT&T basically having a strong Q3, weak Q2, and weak Q4.
Wow. All right.
I mean, they're raising prices just like Verizon is. And what is AT&T doing right now as far as promos go?
I mean, they're converting. The CFO talked about margins improving and them still adding customers, and they do offer discounts with bundles with Uverse and fiber, and people qualify for AARP, teacher discounts, first responder discounts. FirstNet's growing. They've got like 4 million connections now. I don't know, dude. Things look pretty good at AT&T, especially from how they're looking at it.
What was AT&T's net ads for last year? Net.
Last year?
Yeah.
Total net ads or smartphone net ads?
Smartphone net ads.
Like 3 point something million?
Oh, they had 3.7?
Something like that.
And what was T-Mobile's?
Like 3.1?
Okay, these are way bigger numbers than I was thinking they were. Okay. Well then, and what was Verizon's net ads last year?
Maybe 1 million, maybe under 1 million.
So we had 3.7, 3.1, and like a mil.
Something
and that was
like
for the course of the year as nets.
Yeah.
Okay, these are way larger than I was expecting.
We're not talking quarters here. We're talking years.
Well, then let me rephrase my prediction. I see AT&T having like 2 million net adds, T-Mobile having like 4 million net adds, and Verizon having like 600,000.
Yeah, that seems more plausible, I think.
I'm saying that T-Mobile is going to come away far and away like the winner of this year. If they just do nothing, they just literally all T-Mobile has to do is do nothing, and they will win because they're the cheapest.
Yep.
Correction to that statement, Mikhail. Roger said that AT&T customers are the most price sensitive. Magenta branded customers are resilient. Verizon customers are resilient until they move to cable. So yeah, the MVNOs actually, it's hurting their bottom line. They're keeping customers on the network, but they're not using enough gigs to make it financially beneficial. So,
Yep.
I'm gonna do a predictions video, and then we'll follow it up with a live stream once we get the Q2 numbers. But hey Luna, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. See you there in the live chat. Welcome to the show. She said, I set my iPhone 12 Pro Max on 5G auto or 5G on. It depends. If the 5G performs better than LTE, I think it's a slam dunk. You turn 5G on. If you put the 5G on, you could suffer battery life loss at a faster pace. It depends if the 5G in your area actually gives you a better experience. If that's the case, leave 5G on. If it's killing your battery, turn 5G off. You know, you can kind of go in there and do it yourself. And
if you're finding a dead spot without 5G, compromise for the battery and go with the coverage.
And AT&T's LTE is great, so you know.
Yeah. So if you're on LTE and you're not in a N77 market, just stay on LTE.
No. All right, guys. Just on my way home today, I was hanging out with the fam. On my way home, well, let me actually preface this. On my way there, maybe it was like around 3 o'clock, I drove by a Verizon 5G Ultrawideband site, and 5G Ultrawideband was not on. I drove back home, it was on, and the site is doing 800 megabits per second down and 110 megabits up.
Is this the one by the? Is this
by the soccer field?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I was joking with Dennis and Walt, actually. I said, now I can upload all of Yasmin's 4K soccer games like instantly, right? Instead of waiting to get on a fast connection at home on fiber, now I can just do it over the cloud and everything's good, right? Thought about that right away. The ping time is still like very LTE. It's like 31 milliseconds. There was no packet loss. It was low jitter. It was like 2 milliseconds or whatever. But and that's something that I really do wish the latency would get better quicker. That's like seems to be the last thing that we're gonna see. But dude, that downlink and uplink is phenomenal. The only thing that's keeping me on Verizon right now and not leaving them is the fact that their uplink is so much better than AT&T's. Like I was telling Dennis, the AT&T uplink here is like 10 average, 8 to 10 megabits. T-Mobile's like 50 average. Verizon's like 30 average. And I need AT&T to be like one of them.
T-Mobile is expected to be improving that within the next year in most markets.
Well, to me, it's correlated with the upgrades. Like the moment you start clustering these sites with N41, the uplink, you know, the N71, the N41. I mean, it covers you. You know,
we're going to be seeing some mind-blowing upgrades coming down the pipe with T-Mobile. If you're currently on T-Mobile, it might be worth to stay if you're in a larger population market. And if you're considering switching, but you have a good plan, might be worth it to wait until they're done with all their 5G upgrades before you consider jumping.
Well, on the topic of upgrades, do you want to talk about what I was telling you about behind the scenes, Sneed, with standalone?
Sure. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Share your experiences, Dennis.
Yeah.
All right. So T-Mobile has standalone coverage at my house. The combo here is N41, 100 megahertz, and N71, 5 megahertz. That's the combo. Sneed. Well, no, you already know. Pete, what kind of speeds do you think I should be expecting with that combination of spectrum? Just ballpark.
Well, due to the fact that the combination of N71 and N41 on T-Mobile is mainly to mitigate some of the shortcomings of N41, I'd be expecting around 250 by 10.
You're a generous man. You're thinking too much of T-Mobile in Pittsburgh. No,
it's not my fault. Your engineers would turn a potato into vodka.
No. Let me tell you what the real speeds are. 9 out of 10 tests. 1.71 down and 0.005 up.
Man, that's worse than my standalone N71 only.
It's worse than my NSA performance. It's worse
obviously than because your NSA is being aggregated with band 2.
Band 66, actually.
Depends on the market.
But
here I have 10 megahertz at 10, when I'm in SA on only 10 megahertz of N71. When I'm on SA N71, I'm seeing 75.
But anyway, the performance is god awful. There might be a hit or a miss where it gets like 50 to 100 meg, but it pales in comparison to like what my iPhone gets when it's on UC in the same spot where I'm getting like 100, 150 by like 10. So overall, the moral of this story is, as you tell me to get excited for upgrades, is I feel like I'm having a repeat of 2017, where
the next T-Mobile upgrade will be varying by market.
You're talking about voice over NR support, correct?
No, just spectrum upgrades. In most markets, they're expecting to be aggregating multiple N41 channels with either an N2 or an N77.
Listen, every time T-Mobile does an upgrade, okay,
your tower sparks, I know.
Like the cell site gets left worse off than had it been if they didn't touch it, generally speaking. And I feel like that Pittsburgh T-Mobile engineer personally watches Sneed's videos and does this intentionally, because the level of incompetence is almost malpractice at this point. Like, I mean it, dude. Like, I start talking about good news stories, talk about the positives about backup batteries being added. I talk about how I'm getting decent speeds now at my house that are usable. And T-Mobile pulls a stunt like this. So, yeah. I'm not looking forward to any upgrades. And I told Sneed I wasn't going to share this on the show, but my experience with 5G up to this point so far from T-Mobile has been so bad that it makes me almost wish that T-Mobile never even did the 5G rollout.
Hey, unlike you, Dennis, I've been loving their extended range.
What, my 5 megahertz of N71? I should be excited about that, Pete?
Hey, I've been driving around the West, and there were places not 2 years ago I would have had no service. Now I have enough service to, load up a Google map or make a phone call.
Yes, I get the facade of bars with my phone, and then when I try to place a phone call over that N71, I get a called fail message 7 times in a row before it actually can even connect.
It's not my fault your technician sucks.
So here's the thing, man. Like, nationally, N71 made a huge difference for T-Mobile. There's no
especially in the West.
Right. So that was a game changer for those segments of the country and rural and coverage. And now, Dennis, in your instance, you got limited bandwidth on that channel. The engineering, the optimization piece isn't there for you, so your experience sucks on there. And that's why we try to objectively evaluate it for our regions. Nobody's saying that, hey, this is how it is nationally. Dennis gives his experiences and what he observes, and he says this is how it was in this place. And we respect that. I mean, they're your main carrier, Dennis. We know you're just trying to give them a fair shake and calling a spade a spade.
Well, the thing that makes me the most angry about, like I said, is that it's like a roller coaster. I'm on this high hill. I'm like, wow, T-Mobile's feeling pretty good, because people can go back. I give praises when praises are due. I try to keep it 100%. Heck, I give praise to Verizon. I don't even like the company for their incredible ultra-wideband rollout, especially in rural. But T-Mobile, there's no consistency, and it hurts me. There's everything. So when I did my little test the other day with Sneed on my show, I was talking about my experience through Ohio, and I told Sneed, and I said it on the show, I was super impressed by T-Mobile on the mainland. It was very impressive. Everything looked great. But then when I talk to Sneed, who lives there, who tries to do like a FaceTime call or tries to do basic stuff, it always fails him when it's game time, and it just doesn't make sense. Nothing about the current T-Mobile today should be equaling the end result experience that I or Sneed get. T-Mobile has all the spectrum in the world that they could possibly need. They have a pretty darn dense macro network for the most part to, at the very least, be a usable experience in our cities, because these are well-developed cities. But yet the end result is that T-Mobile kind of feels like an AT&T from 2017. That's what T-Mobile feels like, or maybe even worse than. And it doesn't make any sense. They have more capacity than ever, more spectrum than ever, more macro cell sites than ever because of the Sprint editions, and yet it's still falling apart.
I don't think a day's ever going to come, Dennis, where people like us, you, me, Pete, Carlos, I don't think there's going to be a day that cool. Zero cool. I don't think there's ever going to be a day that comes and we're satisfied with one particular carrier. We're always going to really love and appreciate having at least two. Like Pete, you've got the Fold on Verizon, right?
Yep, and I got
your main driver on T-Mobile, the Pixels.
I got Los Blue on eSIM on the Pixel.
I mean, it's kind of nice having multiple SIMs. Dennis, you've got what? You've got iPhones. You've got the most recent Galaxies. You got blue, red, magenta. You got the whole shebang, right?
Yeah, on my main iPhone, the one that I converted into my daily phone, I got T-Mobile on physical SIM and the eSIM swaps between Los Red and my AT&T Elite plan, which I just swapped on the AT&T Elite plan for a comparison real fast. 236 down, 51.1 up. That's AT&T at my house.
So, and full disclosure, I do own stock in all three.
So do I. Nice. Actually, I own stock in all four. I own Dish stock now too because of Carlos.
So you own Verizon for the dividend, right? You own AT&T for the dividend.
Yep.
And you own T-Mobile for the growth.
Yeah.
And if you own Dish, it's a speculative growth play, right? An acquisition play.
So, but basically, I'm happy if all three do well. But yeah, if I'm in an area where T-Mobile is, can't get a call out, I have options.
Also, Sneed, I just took a screenshot real fast of a speed test because I know you never really saw above 70 before on uplink from AT&T. I just sent you that real quick. That was just ran just now on iMessage. Yeah, dude. 211 down, 73.4 up, 35 millisecond ping.
And this is on
AT&T.
AT&T's LTE?
NSA.
Oh, the DSS. Okay.
Yeah. That 10 megahertz.
That's really good, dude.
Wow. That 10 megahertz of N5 makes the difference, man. I'm serious. It doubles the uplink.
73 uplink, man. Tremendous.
Dude, I've seen 100. I promise you. I've seen. I
believe it. Why would I not believe you, dude?
Well, that's just my manner of speaking. I know you believe me, but
this one is from He's Coming Soon. How much of T-Mobile management is from Sprint? Nothing. I got to be honest with you, man.
It's about 5%.
If I was T-Mobile and I just saw what Sprint did, why would I want them leading my company in any way, shape, or form?
You know what I would really love, man? We have these spaces all the time, right? And And like people like
MySpace.
No, I'm talking about on Twitter Spaces.
Oh,
but we have people that we have people
Dennis.
Yeah.
They need to allow you to talk on those from the desktop.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
They're targeting Zoomers. Anywho, go on.
Anyway, what I was gonna say was like, we have some very healthy conversations with people in the community. A special shout out to Keon. You get my blood a pumping, but I do enjoy talking to you. But they say some of the darndest things. They're like, why does Keon specifically? He's a very educated man. He says, why does T-Mobile need to operate like a Verizon? Why does T-Mobile need to operate like an AT&T? I would love it if T-Mobile just for 1 year, would just try to copy Verizon in every measure. Take out the loan to actually do a proper deployment in, like, say, the top 20 PEAs, just the top 20 even, and just see what that translates to as far as network experience and customer growth. Because I can tell you right now, the only reason that T-Mobile is losing customers is not because of their plan. Their plans are some of the best in the industry on the MNO side, period.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, facts. Yeah.
The only reason T-Mobile loses customers is because of coverage and network experience. Their customer service, as much as I rag on it at times, is leaps and bounds better than Verizon's. It's 24/7 versus being closed at like 9.
Yeah.
Their pricing is great. Their phone support is
Dennis,
industry leading. Go ahead.
When you call T-Mobile, how often are you in the Philippines?
It's a 50-50 shot, Pete.
Dang.
When I call them, now mind you, I don't call after 6.
Well, that too.
The last 2 times I got somebody in Las Vegas. Typically, I'm used to Tennessee or North Carolina.
I think I get people down in Georgia if I do get someone.
I get a lot of Texas at Verizon. A lot of Texas.
Do they sound like they're from Texas?
No. That's the thing. They don't.
But going back to what I was saying, though, like T-Mobile has industry-leading phone support, even with the fact that they support pretty much every unlocked phone. If it works, so they'll just let it ride. Their biggest weakness, and it's always been their weakness, has been their network. And I'm waiting for this moment where they turn all this potential that they have into an actual viable product. And the only way that happens is if they put in the hard work, if they put up the actual cell sites and the cell splits. I'm not even asking for small cells. I'm to the point where, Sneed, I know you're going to be like, I can't believe this is coming out of your mouth, Dennis, but I'm to the point where if T-Mobile would just make a competent macro-based network, I think that for the next at least 5 years, they would actually be able to wipe the floor with AT&T and Verizon just because of how much mid-band spectrum they have.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I know you wouldn't, but I think that if they did it right, like if they had Verizon levels of density and they had N41 on every single one of those sites, I think that the performance would be good enough for at least the next 5 years where they wouldn't have to worry about it.
Nah, you'd encounter some issues if they're like, yeah, we're good, and wait 5 years. Things have to be constantly upgraded and tuned.
Bro, like the chance. So like I've had this conversation with Nikki from the community, and like we've had these conversations too. I feel like T-Mobile's opportunity to create space and close gaps and stuff like that with their competitors, I feel like that window is kind of shut now.
Yep.
Like AT&T has spectrum now. Verizon has spectrum now. Like when the channels double and triple in bandwidth, like what's T-Mobile's advantage now?
So at the moment, and we're going to be seeing more of this come mid 2023, 2024. The competition will be coverage where traveled, like in a market, and how far out from the market can you consistently have a good connection, and the price of the plan. So if you're in a bigger city and everybody has good capacity, and you rarely leave the city or go only as far as the suburbs, and everybody has a good connection, you're only really competing on price there. But say if you're driving around in the rural Southwest, you may still find yourself at that point still going, man, I wish I had a Verizon line if you didn't have Verizon.
Well,
and,
the thing... Oh, sorry.
You know, the Verizon is the most expensive, but if it's where you're traveling and you have a solid connection or at least an accessible connection while you're traveling, that's what you're going to pick.
Well, the thing that I think's really telling here is let's look at the Verizon coverage map, which has been just recently updated versus the T-Mobile coverage map. So this is Verizon, all right? Look at all this ultra wideband, okay? A lot of this didn't exist. And every month it's been getting filled in more and more and more.
What's the difference on the business coverage?
What do you mean?
I see on top personal and business.
I don't know what these black spots are. What does those mean?
I don't know. Go back to personal.
Wait.
Oh,
5G Edge? I have never heard of that. I'm not sure what that means. But anyway, look at Verizon, okay, for Pittsburgh, all right? Now let's look at T-Mobile real quick. T-Mobile's coverage map. And there's something that a lot of you probably aren't going to realize because you're probably not looking at Pittsburgh every day. But
I mean, it's a rusty city.
Well, the thing that I'm going to point out when I look at this is that they haven't expanded their coverage at all in since its inception. Like literally this UC map that they have right here of Pittsburgh. Oh wow, this is really not zoomed in well for you guys, is it? Here, let me help you. Sorry. This coverage map for Pittsburgh has literally been this way now for like a year and a half. Like,
so what you're telling me is, and probably the rest of us, is you're not expecting an upgrade there until after 108.
But that's the thing. They don't need 108 here in Pittsburgh for it to happen. And also,
so Dennis, what they've been doing is if they had, fair coverage with ultra capacity in one area, they'd deprioritize that on upgrades to go to places where it would see more of a man, that's an improvement, rather than, oh, look, I'm getting this more consistently now.
Yeah, but it's more like, oh, look, I'm getting this on this one little island, and wow, it's not available to me. Like, I want to be clear here. This coverage map is very generous for T-Mobile. I promise you it's not actually, as dense as they're making it out to be. Like, this little area right here where I'm circling around with my mouse cursor is where you're going to get UC fairly reliably. The moment you start going down in Bethel Park, which I want to remind you that Bethel Park is a very affluent part of Pittsburgh.
So it's an AT&T market.
Yes. Everything about this is AT&T. All this is just hot diggity garbage. Versus this. Look how much more consistent this is. You got very well blanketed red. Obviously, Verizon could be a little bit generous, and I don't like how their map is not the most detailed. And obviously, inner Pittsburgh is sorely lacking.
Was that band 13?
Well, inner Pittsburgh's band 66, and all this little deep red stuff, which I'm surprised they actually added this, is actually their millimeter wave. They finally added that to the map. This is all millimeter wave. All this is millimeter wave. All these little streets, all millimeter wave.
Well, that's an improvement.
All this right here, millimeter wave. This too, millimeter wave. In fact, Verizon's underestimating their coverage, because I can tell you for a fact that all this part of West Carson right here has millimeter wave as well. So there's Verizon versus T-Mobile. One of them has only had C-band for 6 months and has basically provided a more consistent ultra wideband
Well,
experience.
what did Verizon have going there prior to the N77?
Nothing. They had band 66 and band 13 and a little bit of N5.
So they had a bigger motivation to they had a bigger motivation to put N77 where applicable. By the way, shout outs to Green9227, second super chat I saw tonight. Said got over 1 gig on the download doing some N41 testing.
Also, I just wanted to show this
some
real
nice
quick.
stuff.
I just wanted to show this real quick. Look how dark blue Pittsburgh is with AT&T. The whole city has 5G from AT&T. Oh, wow.
Now, Green, imagine what Dennis here would be saying if he had that experience.
Probably good things.
He wouldn't be wishing T-Mobile had the AT&T 5G.
I mean, honestly, AT&T's 5G, I know it's not like that in everywhere else in the country, but at least here it makes a difference.
So I noticed, like, if you look on the T-Mobile, you have an ultra capacity color, and on Verizon, you have a ultra wideband color. Look at AT&T.
You have a 5G color.
Yeah, so what is that, DSS 5 everywhere?
Pretty much. 10 megahertz of it. I mean, there is C-band. I mean, there's C-band down in, like, wherever the frick, wherever Monaca is. I don't know. I can't really see it right here.
Is that a bunch of
AT&T, oh, sorry. AT&T C-band's, like, out this way. Oh, over here, right there. Out here, where I'm circling, right here, this is where their C-band is.
Do lawyers live over there?
No, it's, there's a there's a fracking plant out there, and a movie theater and a dead mall, but...
So basically what you're saying is the fracking company paid AT&T for good service.
Maybe. I don't know. Oh, there's Penn State Beaver out there. There's a college.
College students don't need internet.
Well, anyway, the moral of this...
Green sent another $2 super chat, by the way, saying he sent Sneed the result in an email. What's the moral of the story, Dennis?
What's up?
What's the moral?
Oh, moral of the story here is that T-Mobile is not... They're not doing meaningful upgrades. Like,
in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. They're not doing meaningful upgrades. My network experience does not feel like it's gotten meaningfully better since 2017.
Now, mind you, I told you to use the in Pittsburgh caveat because in the past 6 months, I've seen more than one improvement to mine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe you could get better if you bribed your engineer with whiskey.
Also, PA speed testing adventures, Verizon's also made tremendous gains. Like, the further you get away from the city, the more impressive Verizon gets. Their ultra wideband gets so much better the further you're out from the city. It's insane.
And their band 13 can hold a phone call in rural New Mexico.
Oh no, their band 13 makes me want to cry. But their ultra wideband is exciting, and their band 66
Dennis,
is pretty.
When was the last time you were in rural New Mexico?
Wasn't in rural New Mexico, but I remember the Ohio trip, and I remember those band 13 only sites made me cry.
Different parts of the world, man. Parts of the world.
But yeah, AT&T is really good here. If you live in Pittsburgh, take a word of my advice. Use AT&T.
And on that bombshell, do we have anything left, Sneed?
Not really. We covered pretty much everything. I guess I can give you guys an update on the T-Mobile tower site upgrade at my house.
You got enough millimeter wave to turn the rain guy?
Nah, no millimeter wave here. we got mid band and we got low band. T-Mobile finished the upgrade last week.
Is it
They finally,
blazing?
what's that?
Is it blazing?
Uh, it has moments. So like the first day it went on, it was like surprisingly good for like just being turned on.
Yeah.
And then day 2 it was gone and it went into 4G. Like what is that, HSPA or some, what is it called?
HSPA plus is 3G.
It said 4G. So what is that?
Band 12.
Okay. So it went to 4G for a day. And then today the 5G is back, but it was mostly N71 5G. Speed tests are 17 down and 5.5 up with a 56 ping.
You know who to talk to about that. See what's going on. I think
Well,
they're optimizing.
Hey,
I want to give
Sneed,
him some time. I'm not doing like a final evaluation. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
Sneed, if you want a real
3 days.
Sneed, if you want a real throwback, come to the Pittsburgh International Airport down by baggage claim. You'll get to enjoy the sweet wonders of 2G.
Yeah, I'm not into that, bro.
T-Mobile's literally still only able to get 2G down by baggage claim at the Pittsburgh International Airport. You'll
Why?
get
What's
that.
up with the signal?
Bro, don't ask me. Ask. Apparently, everybody and their mother says that the T-Mobile engineers here in Pittsburgh are just incompetent. I think it's malpractice, but
Sheesh,
Hey,
man.
Sneed, we know people who also say that because they've worked with them.
hey, those words didn't come out of my mouth. I'm just repeating what I've been told.
Well, like I was, so I'm not gonna evaluate them just yet. But the day 1 performance was amazing. It was picking up 5G UC everywhere, in and around the house, outside the house. Everything was cool. Day 2, it was a nightmare. Day 3, which is today, it's back. I'm back on, but it's just the 5G, the low band. 5G UC has been like intermittent. They're clearly tuning it, so I'm not evaluating anything. I'm just saying that the site is in progress.
Zero Cool says if it appears the tower is tuning, do not expect it to stabilize for maybe 2 weeks. So,
I'm gonna make my final evaluation the 2nd week of July.
Well, based on what I've been told,
sounds reasonable.
Based on what I've been told by my plugs, I was told that my serving site, the one that's closest to my house, is not going to be down until November. So I don't know, man. T-Mobile seems to take a very long time when it comes to upgrades, and
well, you're in Pittsburgh, so they gotta clear the rust off the antennas that they stole off the truck.
Pete, do you know what's funny is? Pete?
You've seen rust?
No, the best cell sites that T-Mobile has in Pittsburgh are all cell sites where they were co-located with Sprint. Those are the cell sites that perform best.
Bet you it's because there's Sprint engineers working on them.
Yeah. T-Mobile engineer might be a pyromaniac for all you know.
Dude, I'm honestly, you know what I kind of wish T-Mobile would do? Hot taking, you guys
fire him?
No, hot taking, you guys tell me your thoughts on this. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a third-party company that's sole purpose was to deploy equipment for the carrier? So instead of the carriers doing it in-house,
there
are
companies that yeah.
There are?
Yeah.
Like who?
The one that I see around here a lot is what is that called? It's literally just they install wireless technology. They put up radios. Bro, you do realize that T-Mobile does not do gear installations, right?
I thought it was Crown Castle that they were relying on.
No, Crown Castle are the property owners and the site owners. They also have fiber, right?
Okay.
Typically it's the vendors or some third-party installation crews that put up T-Mobile's gear. And actually, you will very seldomly, if ever, see any T-Mobile employees on a tower site.
Oh.
Sprint works that way too. Verizon technicians exist. Verizon engineers go out to sites. So does AT&T. But even AT&T, like sometimes they send out the vendors know the gear too. The problem is getting them out there. You have to schedule them. National is like another problem to it. Using local contractors, regional contractors actually makes the most sense. I'm not knocking T-Mobile for it, but what if something happens at the tower site and your engineers don't know how to fix it, you have to schedule the vendor to come out and do the repairs or replace radios.
Well, that almost makes me more angry then, because there's a high probability that Verizon and AT&T probably end up using those same contractors then.
They do. I was talking to a recent tower contractor, and he told me he does work for all carriers. He does. Well, he told me the hardest company to get into is AT&T. They have like their own contracts and stuff like that with groups and companies. But he said he does a ton of work for Verizon and a ton of work for T-Mobile. He actually says he does the most for T-Mobile.
So then okay, so this is the part that doesn't make sense to me then. How does the same contractor produce two totally different results? One that's exceptional.
Because the engineers have to tune it. The engineers have to set the power levels on each frequency and each radio. The engineers have to manage the cell sites that talk to each other. So like cell site A, cell site B, how far are they? How much power do I put on this channel? How close is it to this next cell? Is it going to cause interference? What's the SINR?
That's all. That's all software-defined networking, and it wasn't until I believe it was past 5 years, where they could use software to adjust the azimuth of the antenna as well.
I'm going to ask a dumb question here, but Sneed, correct me if I'm wrong. Don't wireless networks have some level of like self-autonomy in that if there is interference, it can just tune down itself automatically, essentially?
No.
There's no level of autonomy or control with that. It requires manual intervention every time.
There is a report generated for
I think what
that.
He's asking, Pete, is there some kind of alarm or indicator that's going to scream at you?
No.
You got to go looking for it.
You got to look for it, and a lot of the network engineers do. Dennis's problem might be the fact the engineer's actually in Aruba.
Well, the reason I asked is because in the Wi-Fi, because like I look at cell networks like big versions of Wi-Fi networks, and your typical Wi-Fi router, right, is able to, scan for Wi-Fi interference and change channels automatically if you let it. Most consumers routers will do that. Or you can manually log onto a channel of your choice and set the power levels for the access point, right? But you have those options available to you. And I'm just a little bit surprised that doesn't exist on the macro scale to some extent. Like, I would have thought with how smart our networks are getting with 5G that there would be a way for there to be some level of AI and competency to, say, change power levels as the seasons change, for example, or temperature conditions.
I think some of the tools are going to get better with 5G SA, but
there is for seasonal and for like temperature or precipitation. It's all about if there are sensors available for the climate and if the build plan includes sensors, because that's not part of a requirement.
Okay. My T-Mobile ping times are now in 70. They're doing some right now.
What speed are you getting on it?
I am connected to the 5G UC now, though.
What speed are you getting on it?
Like 150, 160 meg down.
That's better than what you were getting before.
Yeah. But I'm getting like half a meg uplink, 1/3 of a meg.
Yeah, they must still be messing with that.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to Alexander, the tech guy. This is his 48-hour anniversary.
Welcome, Alexander. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming by. You know what, PA Tech? Look, man, my site's been up for like a few days, so I'm not gonna judge. I don't know how long your site's been up, but I'm not gonna judge mine just yet.
Well, I'm looking forward to the end of July. End of July is going to be an exciting time for my networking experience, because that's when Verizon's supposed to finish upgrades on the closer site to me and not have me connected to the one that had that little incident, Sneed.
Hey, Sneed, let's shout out Giuseppe Jimmy, who says changing variables on an enterprise network is bad.
Facts.
I don't think so. I mean, I I actually disagree. I feel like it's good to have some level of like AI in place because of variables that are environmental that might change the experience of the network. Like, I'll give a good example of this in the real world. Think of coaxial cable for a moment.
Oh,
How
God,
it
don't make me
rusts.
do that, bro. Please.
No,
What?
no.
What?
I don't
Mute
want
him,
to think about
Sneed.
coaxial. Come on, man.
Well, just hear me out real fast.
All right, go ahead, Dennis.
So, coaxial cable is impacted by the outside temperatures. When it gets super cold, that stuff it shrinks a little bit. When it gets super hot, it expands a little bit. And that's going to impact your signal levels across your channels. And I know for a fact that nodes inside of like HFC networks are able to adjust their power levels accordingly to ensure things kind of stay within spec to some degree. And that's actually smart, because if that didn't happen, you would have a lot of issues crop up. Um, especially when you start talking about when you start adding on additional homes onto the network. The person that's at the end of that stretch might have, or is going to have, the weakest signal, so you might need to amp up power accordingly so they can actually get connected to the network without having to add another amp or a node.
Right.
So I feel like that would be the next step as far as 5G goes, to really optimize the experience, because rain has an impact on wireless performance. Tree leaves can have an impact on wireless performance. There's lots of things that can impact wireless performance, and being able to adjust things in a more automated fashion that doesn't require an actual human to be manually doing it would be both a more efficient way of doing things and a costing measure. I mean, Sneed, my opinion on most things. Taking the human out of the equation generally leads to better results. The human's typically the weakest link.
Yeah.
If we can automate that process, I think it'll actually lead to a more optimized network experience, especially if we can get to the point too where like cell sites are able to like automatically like start moving the actual antennae to better beamform. So like if there's
a lot of electronic stuff that goes on. Like, it doesn't have to be like, there's a certain amount of leeway they have. Like, say, for example, if you need a lot of AI, though, you're going to need a lot of machine learning, and that the tower gear simply is not up to that type of tech.
Oh, I 100% agree it's not there,
Right.
but
And then
I think
also
that would
like
be
the network core. Yeah. I mean, of course, Dennis, it's like that stuff becomes automated, algorithms, all those types of things come into play. It makes sense. It's going to improve the efficiency of the network. You're probably also going to improve the engineer's performance, right? I mean, but they still have to program those algorithms, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, someone's going to have to program, or someone's going to have to run like thousands and thousands and thousands of RF tests to train the AI. But
Right.
I mean, if that could happen, if that happened, like, I'm just in a hypothetical world, if that happened, you would get to the point where you could literally have a pretty coverage map that just shows, like, if you tilt this way, this is your expected range. If you tilt this way, this is your expected range. Like, you can make it so simple a 5-year-old could like put it up, and that's the kind of simplicity that we want for engineers. Because a little fun fact that's not so much of a fun fact or a secret, but we humans aren't really great with complex, long mathematical algorithms. That's something that computers are great at.
Hey, big shout out to Jason. Thank you for the super chat. He said cable time. And then
Yeah, some people
Hey,
just
Bobby,
tune out with cable time.
good to see you, Bobby. Just so you know, by the way, my name is spelled Dennis. I don't know if you're spelling. I don't know if you've been spelling that as a joke, but it's Dennis.
Maybe you just calls you Denise when you're talking cable.
Look, I have no problems with the name Denise, but I am Dennis. You can call me Dennis, or you can call me Tech Jesus, one of the two. Thank you, Bobby.
Telco Jesus, that's right.
But okay.
Doxus Jesus, let's go with that one.
Oh, Jesus. Listen, can I let's call a spade for a moment real fast. Everyone on this panel agrees that cable is the next best thing to fiber. Good cable is the next best thing. No one can tell me what
Dennis,
the straight
why
face
are you
is.
opening this can of worms, dude?
Come on. Tell me with a straight face, Steve. Tell me with a straight face I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
No, oatmeal is far superior to everything.
All right, Sneed, would you rather have Comcast cable or T-Mobile home internet based on our FaceTime conversation?
It depends on whether or not I have Dennis 4.0 available to me.
You got a mid split and a high split, so you got 1.2 down, 200 up.
Dennis, why are you opening up this can of worms?
Hey, let's change the subject. We have Giuseppe Jimmy saying with a $2 super chat, what do you guys think of AT&T's SASE push, link?
Standalone. What does that stand for? Standalone. I'm sorry, I don't know what that abbreviation or acronym means.
Yeah,
Secure Access Service Edge.
Yeah, I just Google searched it.
They're gonna do it with Palo Alto Networks.
It's basically what Verizon's been doing.
Well, this is a cybersecurity thing, right?
That's a firewall company.
Okay.
Yeah. Have a friend's husband who works for them.
Well, no, this is more of like an edge compute type of thing, pushing the network out to the edge. So edge computing. So instead of having central offices, the computing gets done at the cell site, essentially, is the premise of how this works.
Yeah, I'm not. I didn't even know that this was a thing. When did they have this partnership?
It's been going on for a while. I mean, all telecom and internet companies have been pushing this. They've been pushing the computation further out into the network instead of having it all happen.
I do remember this. I do remember the Palo Alto deal. Yeah. I remember this. So this is, like Pete was saying, firewall, public cloud, data center, DLP, that stuff, cloud compute.
Also, he's coming soon. He's coming soon. Me and Sneed reported on the. Who's this?
We got Hans Vestberg with the Now and Later Gators on.
Oh, Carlos. Okay, sorry.
I'm here to buy my new Gator shoes.
What up, Carlos? Good to have you on, man. It's been a minute.
I need to get my new Gator shoes, so the price is going up by $10 more a month.
Hey, Hans, what flavor Gators do you have on today?
I got me them Florida Gators.
The Florida. Alexander, the tech guy, said, Sneed, you should come to Maine and watch how every carrier sucks and is lacking with data speeds. No, I'm good. I'm going to stay in Ohio where things are pretty good.
Yeah, I think all carriers need to improve in their own ways in this country. That's a fact. But I don't want to live somewhere where they all suck.
Yeah, I'm cool. Big shout out to Maine, and sorry your connectivity isn't great.
Honestly, I'm surprised that Maine has poor connectivity considering how small the state is to actually cover.
Do they have fiber there?
Yeah, they have Verizon Fios.
Dang.
But then again, you heard about my Fios experience before.
I don't know, but their Fios doesn't really impact, cell service.
Yeah. But
What's up, Hans? What are you doing, bro?
Chilling.
Chilling.
Waiting for the new Gators.
Yo, Hans, I wanted to ask you, man, how are things looking this quarter?
They're not looking that great right now, but we're going to get everybody on the Get More, so we'll be fine.
How's the rest of the year outlook?
It's looking great.
Are you happy to get rid of those HBO Max customers?
We can have them come our way. We give them free Disney.
What are your thoughts on all those get started plans leaving for other companies like Expanding Mobile?
It's okay. They can go. They didn't make us enough money. It's okay.
Yo, Hans, could you tell us about what happened at Ericsson?
Oh, they couldn't handle me. I was the best. They wouldn't buy me the new Crocs, so I left.
Hey, can we get Carlos back on the show for a minute?
Yeah, can we have Carlos back?
Hey, Carlos.
What up?
Real quick, man. I don't know how much of the show that you caught, but
Also, that Hans guy, you should probably chloroform him and leave him out in the desert.
oh goodness,
Oh,
some Breaking Bad stuff right now. But okay, Carlos.
Great show. I love Cranston.
Carlos, I got a question for you, my man. If you could tell the carriers one thing that to do differently, what would you say to them and why?
I tell them to quit giving this damn LTE Plus and Ultra. We need real 5G from all three.
So why are you just doing LTE upgrades?
That's what it feels like, straight up. I'm sorry, you guys might think that this is all 5G and this and that, bro. I'm sorry, but the other countries with LTE Plus, advanced LTE, they were getting the same performance that we're getting on 5G. Latencies have not dropped or none. The only technology that has made a difference is millimeter wave with T-Mobile and Verizon. That's it. AT&T's millimeters is ass. Can't depend on it.
Lowe's, you remember my opinion on 5G?
Yes, sir.
Dennis, do you remember my opinion on 5G?
No, I do.
It's still in the freaking oven.
Put it back in the oven, right, Pete?
Put it back in the oven. We're not so the 3GPP, the standards organization that has been doing cell phone standards, did the initial 5G specification in Release 15. Release 15 came out in 2018. We're starting to start the second bullet point out of 8 on that one for what 5G is. Until we're done with Release 15 for our features, we're on 4G but with a different modulator.
What was step 1? Just adding more spectrum?
Yes.
So step 2 is...
We're starting step 2, which is deploy a standalone network.
And then what's step 3?
Having isolated gateways to differentiate network traffic.
You know what, Pete?
And step 4 is network slicing.
You know what, Pete? You know what I think we need is a good old-fashioned 4-year plan. I wonder if you get the double innuendo in this wording.
Hey, man, if I was in the FCC, they would be getting fines for being this lazy, let me tell you.
Hey, but this is what it comes down to, guys. It's literally, it doesn't matter how much spectrum you put on air with these mid-band channels, bro. Get 50,000, get 100,000 people on those tower sites and in 1 to 2 neighboring sites, and then it's gonna tank. I don't care if you got 200, 300 megahertz of spectrum on mid-band. It doesn't work like a millimeter wave, like a gigahertz, like 20 gigahertz, 39 gigahertz, 47 gigahertz.
The idea with 5G is to slice up the network, monetize the slice, and have consistent experiences based on what the slice outlined. So that could work on mid-band for some applications, like, say, watching 4K YouTube videos. That can work fine on mid-band. You only need a dedicated 31 megs a second. But for the low latency stuff, you need millimeter wave. For vehicle to X transmit, you need you need above 6 gigahertz, which is what NTIA carved out for that recently. You need a whole bunch of things. So, by the way, Sneed, Pete Fox sent you some gas money.
Hey, big shout out to Pete. Thank you so much for that super chat. Yep, he said some gas money for Sneed. Love all the tower and testing videos. Thanks, Pete. Appreciate the support. It's stuff like that that's why I do it, man. I don't mind. It's a labor of love. I love creating the content. I love interacting with you guys.
You write
A
off
lot
the
of
miles.
I can do that too.
You should
So
be.
yeah, so thanks for supporting and putting, your money into the cause. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for supporting.
Also,
Derek,
to the person that you had the comment up previous to that, where was it that we talked about? I think it was Atlanta, Georgia, right, Sneed? Atlanta, Georgia, and Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yep. There was a Reddit post about that in Florida, and then you had someone reached out to you from the community or something on Twitter talking about Atlanta, Georgia getting the upgrades. So it's out there. It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, guys. I mean, you gotta. Okay, so I want to throw something out there, and you guys tell me whether you guys agree or not. And do you think that should have been the game plan from the get go to start this 5G? So
What?
this is how I feel 5G should have been done: is in urban and suburban, millimeter wave should have been primary for 5G. And when you get to your rural situations, that's where you take advantage of your low band, mid bands, and all that stuff. You still can have mid band in your urban and suburban, but it's just to so you can have smooth handoffs.
yeah, and again, you can do media consumption slices, not VR slices, but media slices like YouTube or Twitch or whatever, perfectly fine on midband.
What do you guys think? How do you guys feel about that? Let's start with Sneed. How do you feel about that, bro?
I mean, Carlos, I don't think anybody who's a network tech enthusiast, anybody who takes their cellular technology seriously, like kind of like this community, they're going to agree with you. I don't think many people are going to argue much. The only argument and pushback you might get is from suburban. There's not going to be a lot of people that are going to support you to say millimeter wave should be uniform in suburban. It should be situational. Like it should 100% be where it can offer fixed home wireless. Like 100%. I agree with you on that. But from a general standpoint, does suburban require millimeter wave? I wouldn't call it a requirement. I would call it a very nice benefit, to support and supplement competition where there's fiber laid, right? Now, urban, I totally agree. The mid-band and the millimeter wave need to be built simultaneously. Listen to my terminology. Need. Mid-band channels need to be free and clear. Millimeter wave should be doing the heavy lifting anytime somebody steps outside of a door.
Millimeter wave was in the spec is designed specifically for heavy lifting.
And also, Pete, we should be seeing
really wideband.
We should be seeing repeaters. We should be seeing indoor repeaters, pivots, and we should be seeing stuff from, Pivotal commware and all these other like we still haven't seen that. And I think part of that is number one is supply and products, right? They're just not offered commercially. And the other piece is, like there has to be a dedication to the frequency. And there's only one company that has truly done that up to this point. It has to become across the entire industry. Like it's got to be a standard for T-Mobile, Verizon, and also AT&T.
What about you, Dennis?
So, as Sneed said, any network lover is going to want what you said. However, real world, what does this country need right now? What's going to be good enough for like a decade to come? I feel that millimeter wave is a requirement in urban. Is a requirement. Now, does it need to blanket all of Pittsburgh like midband does? No. Does it need to cover the heart of downtown and like South Side and like parts of Shady Side and stuff like that? Yes, because that's going to be where a lot of your traffic is coming from and a lot of congestion is. And also little spots where macros just can't cover. That should be what the small cells and the millimeter wave are for. As far as suburban goes, the only reason why millimeter wave would be a requirement in suburban is if, as Sneed touched on, is if you're selling home internet. And I just want to say that the only reason why you wouldn't put millimeter wave over in suburban is because of cost. But in the same vein, you could put millimeter wave literally every few rows of houses, easy, all day, every day. I mean, we did it for fiber with Fios, and we did it for cable with nodes. You could do it with millimeter wave and suburban if you wanted to. As far as rural goes, rural is an instance where it should just be mid-band. In fact, that's where the mid-band shines the best. You're getting like literally like 3, maybe even 4 miles of range off of the mid-band spectrum in rural, like true rural. And the performance is tremendous, and that's where it really, really shines. In fact, that's where I've seen some of my best results come from. Verizon's ultra-wideband is in a rural setting. But you need it all. Like, every frequency has its importance, every frequency has its place, but the foundation of the network, the whole of the network, should be revolving around mid-band for its maximized benefit in the short term, and ultimately millimeter wave to do the heavy lifting to keep those mid-band channels clean and free.
What about you, Pete?
Well, millimeter wave is where you get most of the benefits. So large slices, augmented reality, virtual reality. You do that over the millimeter wave. Anything that needs low latency or high capacity, yeah, millimeter wave was designed for that. It is, due to the fact it's a really wide band channel and it travels closely, you're getting the lowest latency.
Yeah, it's going to give you the best latency. That's important, Pete. I'm glad you brought that up. The latency advantage with millimeter wave is huge.
So most of the promises from the network slice, aside from, yeah, you're going to be getting, a dedicated 35 megs for video consumption, most of the promises come from having a standalone millimeter wave deployment. The moment you start modulating it with, say, band 66, you're encountering translation jitter and added overhead.
Let's not forget that current cellular gear technology for millimeter wave is at 2x2 MIMO.
Yeah, you want the final spec for a full channel millimeter wave is 1024 by 1024.
Which is, you're talking about going from today's 800 megahertz channels at 4 gigabits per second.
We're talking up to 15 gigs.
What's your estimation, Pete?
15 gigs, but you're going to be limited by the backhaul when we fully deploy millimeter wave infrastructure.
Let's call it 25 gig circuits at that point, right?
You could do 25 gigs but the idea is you're not going to be getting a dedicated 25 gig line. You're going to be carving up what we perceive as 25 gigs of capacity into multiple slices.
I still got it supporting all 800 megahertz or 1600 megahertz of
1600 megahertz. Yep, it will support that, but you're going to run a speed test and you're not going to notice that.
What Pete's trying to say here is essentially it's going to be like there's QoS turned on, but to the nth degree. And by that, he means like you might get maybe 200 meg allocated to yourself, even though there's a total bandwidth of 25 gigs available. You only get the max out of 200.
Yep.
Hey guys, Ricky is screaming in the live chat. Hey, Rick.
So, EP-ing, look how fast my millimeter wave is only something we're going to be seeing at this tail end of 4G. Once we're, starting to get into the middle phase of 5G, like starting to find aspects of release 16 or 17, we're no longer going to be like, look how fast my network is. It's like, hey, on my network, I can have my car have a live action, free moving map that points out points of interest, my speed limit, accidents, speed traps, and my kids are in the back seat watching, cat videos. And nobody's complaining, and my Android car is driving fine. It will find a charging station I can plug in without flipping it over. My Apple car, I'm still trying to. They use edge computing to determine what that one pedal is going to do, and you're still going to have to jack up the back to plug in the charging cable. But yeah, all that type of stuff you'll be on the millimeter wave or extended range, which will end up being mid band and low band.
Well, here's my hot take, and I said this behind the scenes with Sneed, but I don't see the benefits of 5G in any way becoming meaningful until 2025.
Yeah.
And as far as what you're talking about, Pete, and what you want, Carlos, I don't see that happening for another 15 years.
See it in 5 to 7.
You think Verizon is going to have millimeter wave deployed in such a density and at such a scale in the top 48 PAs?
Oh, I'm talking like in France.
I'm talking about the US here, Pete.
Okay, let's go with 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Because as long as we can continue to allow the companies to profit over doing release 14 shenanigans, they're not going to be motivated to adopt 15.
Also, Ricky, speed tests aren't fake. What?
No, it's what he's saying here with this statement. I mean, I get the point. Like, it's not that speed tests are fake, it's that they're not an indication of what the network is doing for the user, right?
Also,
because this is what I've said time and time again. Yeah.
On some networks, when you're looking at the latency on a speed test, they're doing latency to the tower, not latency to the server.
There's another variable, but like what Ricky's saying here is time to content. So I don't want to limit it just to content. It's time to complete task, right? So if your task is to pull up a video and then sustain watching the video, if the network achieves that and it doesn't make your experience degraded or horrible, then you're winning, right?
My time to complete most video tasks is the duration of the video.
Well, exactly. That's my point. No buffering, no discontinuous playback. The other thing, Pete, is like, take, for example, what I do, like when I upload content. If I record a short or if I upload a video, I want to do it in less than a couple of minutes, right? I don't want to sit around and
waiting for an hour.
Yeah. I want to do it quickly, right? So
you don't want to be wondering if you need to eat a pita while you're waiting.
Which I don't mind eating a pita while I'm waiting, but I don't want to be like, oh, let me go eat dinner while I'm waiting for this video.
Let me go cook dinner and then eat it with the family and then sit down and wait the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. So like that's how I'm looking at it is.
Hey, Sneed.
Yeah.
We got 2 more super chats.
Oh, let's do it, man.
We got Green chiming in for, I believe, the 3rd time tonight, saying
Green.
T-Mobile is taking their 3G network out back old Yeller style starting the 1st of July. He says, so the team, as we discussed, the contractors take down the stuff, the heat of the tower. I guess it's a hot day there. We also got $4 from Gene G Jr. with a pair throwing a cup of coffee at you.
Thanks, Gene. Appreciate you, man. Glad you could be here for the show, and thanks for, supporting as always. Appreciate all you do. And thanks, Green. Appreciate you as well, man. Thanks for your involvement and your engagement and supporting the channel as well.
Hey, as long as this is monetized, I have you playing in the background on mute. So, you're getting some YouTube Premium sense there.
Good looking out, bruh.
Hey, Sneed.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a little bit of a slightly different question. Well,
okay, before we do that, let me actually thank Carlos. So that was a great question, bro. Thank you for bringing that up here on the show. Go ahead, Dennis.
Bro. We had to.
Yeah, man. Good.
Well,
let's go, Dennis.
Well, I actually have 2. one, you never answered my original one that I asked Carlos, so I'm going to ask this to you, Sneed. If you could tell the carriers to make one change, what would it be?
Bring back Taco Tuesday.
I want a macro every mile.
Okay.
And I want a small cell between each one of those macros.
And then my second follow-up question to you, based off the back of what we talked about. What do you think the end game in wireless is? Like, what is the ultimate end goal that we're striving towards in wireless?
There is no end game. It's a continuous effort to provide a non-disrupted, pleasurable experience on a mobile network. So to me, there is no end game. You have to respond and create the capacity your consumer base needs, make it a good experience, always have it be available, and continue to offer it at prices that people are willing to pay for.
All right, well, let me try to put it another way to you, because I feel like you're kind of missing what I'm putting down. If Sneed, you're the owner of Verizon, right, and you're serving Dennis, what changes between Dennis's of today's experience in 2022 versus Dennis's experience in 2040? Like, what is the change? Like, is it faster speed? Is it just me making more clear calls? Like, what is the game-breaking change that comes for Dennis in his experience that he couldn't do today?
Well, the carriers have literally said they don't know. They're just willing to sell you a network as a service. They don't know what you want to do with 5G. They don't know what you want to do with 6G. Those use cases aren't really there. AR and VR and certain things need to be automated and all this. They know about that. IoT, there's things of that nature, but they just want to be the provider of all those things.
Hey, Sneed MS chimes in with his trademark 271 saying, "Great stream. What a wonderful community we have." Thank you.
Thanks, MS. Appreciate all the support, man. Appreciate you.
So, Sneed,
Carlos?
So I'm going to bring this up, and Pete knows what I'm talking about. Same with Rick, because they were here. So when we went to CES, all right, we went to the AT&T booth. This was in 2020. And literally what we saw was literally equipment that can do remote surgery. The doctor can be in Afghanistan right now, and let's say you happen to have that stroke, and he can literally perform that surgery while he's in Afghanistan, while you're at the hospital. So that's what 5G is meant to do. It's meant to be able to be like, oh shit, in case you're not here, whatever, you can do stuff like that. And that's where low latency, like you said, it's always a requirement, like that's where it comes into play. And this is why I feel that millimeter wave is very crucial right now with the Teslas, bro. I'm sorry to say, bro, but a lot of that self-driving stuff it's ending up in the wall against the freeway, bro. And that's self-driving. You feel me? So like, we need the latency to lower down if you want to have these type of things.
Oh yeah.
So that's literally what this whole 5G has been playing.
We had vehicle to vehicle communication spectrum in the 5 gigahertz range prior to 2014. People had never developed a specification to work with it, and then it got given to the FCC and refarmed for other purposes. Part of our issue with self-driving, with knowing where the road is and where other vehicles are, is companies had the ability to do it since the 70s, but they're now trying to use it as a gimmick based on GPS mapping and some sensors bundled around the vehicle. So I'm hoping with the vehicle to other communication that we will be seeing on network slices, we could get some meaningful communication between self-driving cars and say traffic lights and walls on higher mid-band spectrum and millimeter wave based on location.
What do you think, bro?
I don't know, man.
I know we want that. Like, if that's what we want, so basically what it comes down to, if that's what we want, then we have to have, if these carriers need to standard, basically, like for 5G, because think about it, bro. Right now,
They
like they
don't
said,
need
they
to
don't know
set
what
the
to throw.
standard, Carlos. We have the 3GPP that published it 6 years ago.
Well, they don't have like they don't know what to do with the 5G. Basically, let's put it that way. Like what Sneed was saying, they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
If you don't know what to do with it, then what's
the
the
best
point of it?
thing the best thing T-Mobile came up with was set up an innovation lab and sponsor innovation labs around the country.
What I think, going back to what I asked Sneed earlier, if I was CEO of Verizon, right, and I need to plot out a course for where I want to end as far as what 5G will let me do by like 2040 and so forth, the things that I would be doing and focusing on is the analytical prowess that a standalone core would provide to me as far as information goes and how I could use that information to genuinely innovate on the experience for the customer. And by that I mean I'd be looking at data usage patterns by the minute for locations to optimize bandwidth to a cell site so that way I'm not paying for like 100 gig backhaul when I don't need it. A good example of that would be like tourist spots like Ocean City or like Putin Bay, right? Like they're super busy during the summer whenever people are traveling there, but for the rest of the year, it doesn't need the crazy backhaul, right? Carlos, I know Dish was doing something similar with their ramp up with their standalone core, and that's a game changing, efficient use to optimize the network experience for everyone. I'd be trying to improve the customer service experience with a much more fleshed out app that more accurately communicates to the customer the features and the benefits and an understanding of their plan, and giving them more control over their network experience with their plans themselves, i.e., if a customer's price conscientious and doesn't need, say, 200 megabit per second speeds for their tasks, right? I would give them the option for a guaranteed 25 meg period speed at a cheaper price with no data caps that they'd have to worry about. And they could like use that as hotspot, and they could use that as unlimited data or however they choose to use it. Self-driving cars would be a thing. I'd be focusing on low power operations for Internet of Things devices and trying to incorporate those sensors into a more sophisticated and advanced network to allow for future applications and designs of the experience of all aspects of technology. And ultimately, I would try to bridge the gap in connectivity where instead of having a home internet product and a wireless product, it all just becomes one large connectivity product overall with some form of enhanced Wi-Fi calling coming around the horizon. Stuff like that is what I'd focus on.
So I'm looking at chat and seeing a lot of people focusing on how they don't like the idea of self-driving cars. And we got Bobby Carell asking for Carlos's opinion on that. I will share my opinion first. I would love a world where I could take my bike down to a bus stop, hop on a bus, go to a local train station, take the train down to Denver, and then take a high-speed train to Salt Lake, Vegas, LA, or New York. I don't care about self-driving cars. Give me a fast train so I can feel comfortable doing work while sitting down in a relaxing environment.
Bro, those fast trains are awesome, dude. And I think that'll be nice,
Better than a self-driving car. You know where you're going, and you got more room to walk around.
I mean, look, I'm down for a
my car doesn't have a toilet. The train does.
Look, bro, I'm down for a high-speed rail. But since the American road system is kind of what we got to go with, a self-driving car is the next best thing.
But it doesn't have, like Pete said, it doesn't have a toilet and a bidet, bro.
Nope.
Hey man, maybe I get the driver's seat to be a toilet, bro. Maybe I just sit on the toilet.
Wait, Carlos, you've experienced that train from Paris to Lyon?
Bro, once
200 kilometers an hour, smooth driving, beautiful country.
Bro, and the toilets have bidets.
Oh yeah, give you that nice clean feeling.
Hey, listen, but I know you're laughing, but bidets really are a game changer, and I wish they would catch on in the U.S., man. Especially like the freaking Korean ones. They got like heated seats on them. You could press a button to play music.
Dennis,
so
bidets are very popular here. What are you talking about?
Bro,
Maybe not in Pittsburgh.
Bro, you don't see bidets in any public restrooms. What are you talking about? They got those crappy low flow.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so yeah, I got you now. Okay, got you. I was gonna say people's homes, they're very normal.
Bro, I don't know anyone over here.
My toilets with put bidets in all my toilets.
Bro, I don't know anyone here in Pittsburgh has bidet, and I can tell you when I was buying my house, I asked if I could have a bidet installed, and they said no.
What's that?
Wait, they said no, you can't?
Correct.
Why?
Bro, you know how these new houses are, man.
What?
I swear to God. Dude, trust me, if I could have a bidet. Bro.
So you guys, take for example, overseas in Jerusalem, where like my family's from, every house has 2 independent sinks in the hallways. So you don't need to go to the bathroom to wash your hands. And then the other thing every house has is multiple bidets. So 2, 3 bath, and each one has a bidet. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, in my house, man, there was a lot of things that were like, because it's a townhouse, bro. Like in an HOA, so there was a lot of like, it was more of like here are your choices kind of deal. A bidet was not one of them. Now I know they sell things on Amazon where you can like turn them into like a bidet. You know what I'm talking about, but it's not the same.
Man, this is. Damn, you guys are cutting out so bad for me.
What network are you using?
Are you mobile, Carlos?
Yeah, I'm using the T-Mobile Home Internet. I'm trying to move around close to the tower so it stops breaking up.
Where are you located?
I'm in Henderson right now. By the mall.
Lavendi says bidets are all over Greece as well. What do you expect, Lavendi? They're the cradle of Western civilization. So, Sneed, how long were you planning on running this for?
Oh, that's probably it. We covered all our topics. We got to extra. I got to tell you guys about my, T-Mobile upgrade. We covered the Verizon predictions, and we got to the T-Mobile Sprint stuff. It was a great show. Thanks, Pete, Carlos, for coming by. Dennis, as always, you guys are great, man. Thanks for being here and supporting me and, being guests on the show and offering your input. It's not easy to come out here, and carry on a good podcast and, have topics of the day discussed in depth. And I appreciate you guys very much. Thanks for all that you do to help out the channel.
Yeah, no problem. And honestly, for people that aren't aware, we only had like 2 topics planned tonight. A lot of this stuff only came about thanks to the incredible people on the panel. Pete, I want to thank you for always being a great friend and also being on the show with Sneed and on my channel. You're a great person to have witty banter with. Carlos,
man, I tried to be.
Carlos, appreciate your witty humor and your awesome personality. You're a great friend of the show and a friend behind the scenes. We talk for hours all the time about myriads of topics. So thank you for all that you do. And as I said, Steve, thank you as well, my friend. It's always a pleasure being on the show.
Man, he doesn't like my sarcastic humor.
Yeah, we do, Pete.
Bro, they're not breaking up no more. I'm next to the tower and we're good now. We're good.
Hey, shout out to everybody who threw super chats at us. We appreciate it.
Green, Giuseppe, Pete, Fox, Jason D. Let's see who else. Gene, MS, and I think I missed one. So sorry about the first one who threw in.
No problem. Thank you guys for all that support. Big shout out to all the Patreon supporters. Thanks for another great month. I've got a ton of content that I'm going to be uploading here in the next few days, and then we'll do a live stream hopefully later on this week. If not this weekend, we'll obviously get to the one during the week. We'll see if we can get some guests on there too, and I'll definitely throw the link out to the Patreon supporters. And everybody here who liked this video, thank you so much. If you haven't liked it yet, please give that thumbs up icon a tap. Yeah, do that for me, and then share it. Share it out.
If you're on mobile, you know that thumbs up button plays an animation. So if you're currently on mobile, check out that animation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, Dennis, Carlos, we out this piece.
Peace.
Peace.